We started working on an application that we're going to be working throughout several lectures, and this was the landing page, the home page that we downloaded. We got started with one of the templates from Bootstrap. We downloaded the HTML. We linked in the necessary CSS and fonts, and we linked several new pages that we are creating. Right? I think we worked on the login page and the registration page. Looks like for the login page we are using a fluid container that takes up the entire width of the page, whereas for the registration page we are using just a plain old container. Right? It's up to you. These two pages. It's up to you how you want to go. Login page. I believe we also added some styling of our own to add some additional margins at the bottom of each of these input fields, so we saw how we could override Bootstrap styling. We'll do some more of that today. We also mentioned that each field should be properly labeled, that they should use labels for, right? So that if you click on the label, you also oh, looks like both are linked to the same ID here. If you click on the label, it highlights also the input field. We used hard-coded hyperlinks that navigate to an actual page. Looks like you were using a container, not container fluid. I believe we also worked on making the headers the top fixed top and fixed bottom, and also push down the body so that it would not show under the top header. Right? I think that's where we left off on Monday. So let's continue playing around with this idea. Let me close that. That's 4. Okay. All right. Okay, the implementation was here under the graduate directory. We have created the index page, right? That loads the. This is a template that we copied from Bootstrap, which was a good starting point that gave us the fixed nav bar at the top, and several other example snippets of HTML from Bootstrap library. The only thing that we changed was that we added links at the top to navigate to the login page and the register page. Yes? I think that's the only thing we added. Other links that might live here are maybe the profile page that would allow us to navigate to the profile page, right? Typically the profile page would only show if you have logged in, right? Currently we don't have any mechanism to determine whether you're logged in or not. Right? So for now it'll just show always there. But later on, when we start introducing security and logging in and whatnot, and session management, we'll be able to determine whether you are logged in or not, and then hide or display this link appropriately. Another that might be here would be logout. Logout presumably would run some code that would log you out and make your session invalid, right? And then kick you back to the login page. Right now we don't have any of that logic, so I'm just going to leave this blank. Also notice that here we have several hashtags here that we copied it like that from Bootstrap, right? But hash actually has a special meaning in Angular, right? So I'm just going to be careful, and I'm going to remove these hashes because they have a special meaning in Angular. Not in Bootstrap, but yes in Angular. So I'm going to remove them because they might break my application, right? Let's see, what else? Also, again, the profile page and the logout page will probably only show up if you are logged in. And if you're logged in, we'll probably hide the login and the register page, right? If you're logged in, you can't log in again or register. It makes no sense. So we'll add logic for that to hide and show links. Some other links might be here depending on your role. If you're an admin role, if you're in the admin role, perhaps you have an additional link here that will allow you to go to the admin page, right? So the admin page probably. Not only do you need to be logged in, but you also need to be in the admin role. Okay, so we'll see how to handle that a little later as well. For now, we only have login, register, and profile. All right, so let's continue. Let's go on to the profile page. Let's close that. On the profile page, we have the profile, and inside of a container, and alternatively, notice how it's a form. I guess this form is okay that it's centered. I tend to prefer the container fluid. Why are you not completing? Why are you not completing? Oh, because Bootstrap is linked to the remote. I'm going to use the local Bootstrap just because it gives me access to the auto completion, right? Type ahead. So let's see what we have here. What did we install? Okay, we did install Bootstrap and distribution, CSS, and Bootstrap min. There we go. Okay, so now the autocomplete should work. So maybe, yeah, there it is. Container fluid. This just extend this to all behave like blocks for any size of the screen. Also, we don't really need this profile H1 at the top. We refresh that we have username and it's working correctly. Nice. They're all using the ID. Some folks had suggested that that login instead of navigating to the profile page, that actually it might be better that they navigate to the website list page, right? That you should go directly to the main portion of the application that has your main data, right? There's no need to go to the profile page. So let's do that. Let's change that. So let's see what it's supposed to look like. So let's see. It's supposed to look like. Let's go to the assignment, and it's this one. So let's show this. This is down here. You have you have the pages. Notice that I added an additional page, the home.html page. That was not there originally. That should be the landing page. Actually, it should be the index page, right? This is the home page, home, or the landing page. Yes, right? Which we did create, and you're welcome to use mine. Obviously, it should look perhaps somewhat different. Eventually, that index page. Eventually, the index page. What we want here is perhaps show some activity on what's going on on the website. If new folks have joined, if a new website have been created, new pages, new content, show them here, list them here as activity that has gone on the page. And so that the same thing I would expect from your projects, right? The landing page of your project shouldn't just be a nice picture and just some random blurb. Well, that too, but it should show that there's something going on the website, right? And it's up to you to decide what's public and what's not public. Well, what can be shared in the homepage, but certain things yes, certain things no. That's up to you to decide what goes there. All right, so so I'm going to change in the login page, instead of navigating to the profile page when you log in, we're going to navigate to the page listed here, the website list page, right? Which is should look like this. Right? Should look like this. These are pages that you should interpret them as wireframes, right? They don't have to look exactly like this. You can choose your own color scheme, right? But there are some things that should be consistent. There should be some margins on either side. Text should be equally spaced. There should be also margins all around the header. It's centered. Okay, that things are not flush with the outer borders. Right, there's some margins. Something that's not shown here. Perhaps maybe these should be aligned. Right, maybe I don't know. What else? So these are guidelines, right, of what they should look at. They don't necessarily have to look exactly like this, right? The other thing that we're going to add here is that in the portrait and the landscape version, on the landscape version, since we have a wider screen, we're going to add a couple of other columns here that are going to show up when in landscape, but they're not going to show up in portrait. Okay, so we're going to add that as well, and we'll do that today. All right, so let's work on this, right? When you click on, so let's grab this here. Let's grab this here. So it's going to look like something like that, right? So let's work on that. So to do that, I'm going to copy the profile page only because it's already loading the libraries, right, and the themes. So I'm just going to reuse that somewhat. All right, so let's copy and we'll call this website list.html. So in website list.html, I don't really need the main content, so I'm going to remove the main content. I just want to keep the headers and footer. Let's see, fixed bottom, and we have the fixed top, right? And this is going to be the H1 website list, right? So if you go back here and you log in, once you log in, it navigates to, where's my bar? That's weird. I can't type a URL. That's a new one. Okay, there is one. All right. Okay, index, assignments, graduate, index, login, and my login page should go, oh, it still goes to profile. What did I change? I thought I changed something. Login is pointed to profile. It is, right? Okay, so we want website list. All right, so if I click on login, it goes to website list. All right, so let's fix this up, right? So what we want it to look like is what we have here in the second assignment. Okay, let's fit this. We want it to look like something like this. All right. All right. So let's create. It's kind of like a list of something, right? And as I suggested earlier, you should take a look at what's out there already that Bootstrap might have already implemented that we can reuse, right? So let's go to Bootstrap, and if we look at some of their CSS stuff, if you look through it, one of the things that you might be tempted to use are tables, right? That allows you to list lots of information. Perhaps on the left-hand side you can have the name of the list, and then on the right-hand side another column that allows you to put the cog or some other action icon to the right-hand side. Please do not use tables, right? Only use tables for tabular data, right? That's what they're intentionally. That's what they were originally designed for. Do not use it for laying out content, right? Instead, there's many other different options. One particular nice option that I I like is to use in the components. You'll find lists. Right? So if you go to list groups, you're listing things, right? So here's a nice solution that we can grab and reuse as is that allows you to create different lists of elements, right? So I'm going to grab this verbatim, right? And we're going to paste it as the main content of our website list, right? So let me paste that. If we refresh our page, right, we have well, almost, right? We have a list of elements, but notice that we don't have any spacing on the right-hand side and the left-hand side. So let's fix that by using one of our containers, right? And I prefer to use the container fluid since it's the same, gives you the same kind of margins on the left and the right-hand side. So if we have that, notice that we get the left and the right on either side for all the different sizes of the screens. Okay, so let's do it here. And let's play around with this for a little bit. So if we want to add additional content, for instance, like a cog or something that we can click on, we can certainly do that. We can use one of Bootstrap components at the top, the Glyphicon components, that would allow us to render this content, right? So let's take a look at what this is. Let's see if there's a cog down here. There's one somewhere here. Where are you? Anybody see the cog somewhere? Cog? No. Oh, there you are. Thank you. So we can grab that by using a span. So a span is an element that doesn't add any spacing, right? Doesn't add any vertical or horizontal spacing. It's meant to maintain the same behavior of inline elements, right? It just renders with the flow, right? Wherever the left-hand side pushes it, that's where it ends up. But it allows you to add additional configurations such as classes, colors, and things like that. In particular, it allows you to add these images, right? Notice that the span is going to be left empty. We're actually going to contain anything in there, but magically it adds the cog, right? And the way it adds the cog is using a particular technique that allows CSS to add content later, right? As opposed to being the content being applied directly in the HTML, the CSS can grab a piece of refer to a piece of content in the HTML document and then add content later, styled content. In this particular case, it's a character. This is a character in a font, right, that has been downloaded, in a font file that was downloaded and was installed alongside the Bootstrap library. So if you go to Graduate and go to Vendor, and you go to Bootstrap and Dist, you'll notice that there are three directories in there. One of them is a font directory, right? That cog would not show up if you don't have the fonts installed, right? And in the CSS, the font directory and the JavaScript directory are meant to be siblings of each other, right? Some of the CSS styles that are going here assume that there's a fonts directory right at the same level, right? There are references that go back to those fonts. Okay, so let me show you how it's implemented. If you hover and look at the cog, and you scroll a little bit down, you'll notice that the way that is appearing is through this rule right here, right? The cog, right? And looks what it's doing is says that I'm modifying the content of that HTML element, the span. I am injecting the following content into that span, it's this character. It's a character. It is a character code of the character I want to introduce. And we can really put anything here. We can say hello world, right? And it's injecting the content right on the element, right? So, but we are just using that particular character, which maps to the font, which is the cog. Okay, and it's a very common technique for using fonts. Like Font Awesome uses the same similar technique, and you'll see that in quite different places. All right, so let's keep going. We want this also to. Let me turn this off. We want to have this rendered to the right-hand side. To the right-hand side, like so that it shows up on the right-hand side over here. Bootstrap provides two classes that allow you to do this, right? One of them to push them to the right-hand side, another one to push them to the left. So there's pull right, that does what you would expect. It pulls it all the way to the right-hand side. And these we wanted to be hyperlinks. So let's create hyperlinks out of these cogs, and they should be going to, according to the assignment, they should be going to. They should be going where? To the editor, right? So if you click on the cog, it navigates to the edit page. You click on the cog, and it goes to the edit page, which is implemented like this, right? Which has in portrait mode, it shows one single column, but in landscape mode, it shows two columns, right? A left-hand side and a right-hand side, right? So let's link it for now. Let's say that this will go here, although that file doesn't exist yet. I'm just going to point it there. There it is. And see. Let's see what it renders as. Right, it renders as a hyperlink. Very good. If I click on it, it says I can't find it. It's not there. The names of the websites are also supposed to be hyperlinks. They instead navigate to the list of the pages, right, that make up this website. Right, so this too will go through href, and according to the assignment, it would go to page list. So we can refer to that, right? And if we go there and refresh, they are hyperlinks. Yes? If I click on it, it complains there is no page list for now. Everybody good? All right. So what we want to be able to do is as we resize, right? As we resize, we want to show more or less columns, right? So let's play around with that. Let's create a little experiment to learn how to do that, right? So let's go in. Actually, let me stop, and then I can restart.